What's up? Quill here, and we are back with some more Vampire the Masquerade coteries of New York. Now, last time we finished up Lamar's story, who's a Toreador, and we've already completed Mandy's story, so now we're moving on to Eric's story. Wow, excuse me. Yeah, we're moving on to Eric's story this evening. And Eric is a member of the Bruja clan, though he doesn't know that yet. So, I imagine his story will have its own kind of start, but let's go ahead and find out. Here we go. New York taught me to believe in fate. Had you asked me about fate back when I was a human, I would have told you it's just superstitious bullshit. That we are all designers of our own destinies. That belief shattered when the richest woman in the United States, the actual richest one, not a face you could have seen in the papers, of course, sank her teeth deep into my neck. It happened in the very same place you're standing in right now, by the way. Fate, you decide. Please, there's absolutely no need to be hostile. Just listen a little longer. See, my mistake was that I flew too close to the sun. It makes sense that my punishment was to never see its glow again. I was incandescent myself. I was hot shit. I had it all. Money, looks, confidence, connections, men, women, a career, and spark in my eye, the one you need to be born with. And that's when someone far more powerful than me saw my radiance and thought, that won't do. She robbed me of the light erupting from within, and gave me a subtle, enduring gleam in its place. She decided that would fit me much better. She was a 9th generation kindred just like you, an apex predator. She probably enjoyed teaching me, the peak of human excellence, my real place in the food chain. It's such an eyesore when you look at some loudmouth braggart and see them for all they really are. The temptation to teach them a lesson can be unbearable, right? Well, my sire's lesson was a lesson about fate, a message saying, you're eternally doomed to be at the mercy of your sovereigns. It almost drove me to destroy myself. What saved me was the ability to reinterpret her teachings. Hers wasn't a message of doom, it was a message of hope. Fate exists, and one can shape it if given the right tools. My sire didn't believe my tools were fitting for the job. She considered them toys, and me, just her amusing subject. Well, she's deader than dead now, and I'm still here, standing right where she stood when we first met. You might have wondered how I've learned about your arrival to JFK Airport. My answer is, of course, destiny. As luck would have it, today happened to be a day some of my associates were inspecting the coffins. Driving you here straight from the plane and having you wake up in such an unfamiliar place was a little desperate, and I do apologize for it. But it is so rare for you to visit New York. 3 times in the last 15 years, was it? And you're never eager to inform me you're here. I understand you still have that meeting on 53rd Street later tonight, so I'll provide a comfortable transport. I value our relationship very much, don't get me wrong. But it is precisely because I value it that I'm going to ask you to repay the favor you owe me. You're the only one I'd trust to do the job well, and without attracting attention. You might think I'm crazy, asking you to breach the rules of our society like this. You might think it's impossible to get away with it unpunished. But this is New York, and I don't know about the other cities, but in this one, fate really exists. And right now, it's smiling in your favor. This is how it begins. The music is pounding, and your pulse is keeping pace. This is one of those nights that makes you feel alive. even though it started with you feeling dead. First came the messy breakup, then the realization you have nobody to talk to about how much it sucked. Still, you decide to roll with the punches. One Facebook search for local events later, and you found just the thing for your malaise. A short subway ride, and you find yourself at the club just outside Dumbo. Not a fancy one, mind you, more like a slightly refurbished warehouse. But hey, at least the drinks are cheap. The DJ seems to really know his shit too, alternating between cutting-edge industrial techno and classic Detroit crowd pleasers, expertly feeling out everyone's mood. An hour passes, then two. Usually, you'd feel awkward coming to a place like this alone, but tonight, you find something soothing in joining the crowd, blending in, even as you allow the beat to take over. Sweat, yours, other people's, soaks through your shirt and pants in a matter of minutes. A thought pops into your head. From the outside, the fully packed club must seem like a stuffy, smelly nightmare. But here, in the thick of it, it becomes exhilarating. And you're not even on a pill tonight. There's this Latina chick whose curves are accentuated by the light dress clinging to her body, and she keeps bumping into you. Something tells you it only seems incidental. Yeah, it's a good night. You wish it could last forever, because you know all too well what the next day holds. Waking up, getting dressed for work, the commute, the 9-to-5 grind that will make you just enough money to pay the rent and keep living in your overpriced shithole of an apartment. And with Jessica moving out, it'll all be coming out of your pocket. You run some quick calculations in your head and immediately come to regret that you did. Never mind. You spot the Latina again. She's now next to another guy, hitting it off. Your chance of not going to bed alone, gone. Just like that. Fuck. Your mood temporarily shot down, you leave the dance floor and stumble your way to the filthy bathroom. You take a look in the mirror and start to wash your face, obsessively, over and over again. A voice from the past echoes in your mind. I've never felt like this with anyone. Seriously, I mean it. I feel like all of my relationships up to this point were test runs, a shitty way to compensate for my low self-esteem. But this feels right. Finally. Shut up, Jess. This was the craziest fucking day of my life. God, I need a smoke. Pass me a light. What do you mean cops took the lighter? There's one in your mouth. Just shut the hell up. This is not you. Not anymore. Oh, fuck off. This is so like you, acting like some sort of Clint Eastwood wannabe when I really, really need you to open up. You think you're impressing people with this tough guy act? Fuck you. I know how broken you really are. You need therapy. Yeah, no, that sounds like the Jessica of today. You raise your head and look in the mirror. You try to smile, but all you can muster is a self-pitying grin. And there she is, the Latina from before. She says you look like you need a drink. You hesitate for a second or two, and then blurt out a surprisingly enthusiastic, yeah. You start to talk. It quickly becomes evident that she's into politics, and you are eager to please. You might be a corporate drone, but you spend a lot of evenings reading theory. Actual theory, not bastardized Twitter cliff notes. And organizing for all manners of causes online. The status quo sucks. There must be something better. She agrees. You seem to subscribe to the same progressive political theories, have compatible ideas about the DSA's missteps, even watch the same YouTube channels. Your goals are aligned. She's a bit more radical than you'd have guessed. You attended a few rallies, been to a few protests, but this girl sounds like she broke her share of faces and kicked more than a couple of cops in the nuts over the course of her activist career. Her zeal is infectious. She taps into pent-up anger that you didn't know you had. Noisy club stops working for you both, so you hit the streets. Just as you're leaving, the DJ starts playing All the Things She Said by Tattoo. Of course, you chuckle to yourself. Oh, of course, you chuckle to yourself, trying not to slip into a bad headspace. She chuckles along with you. It's chilly outside, but soon enough, you find yourself too invested in listening to the girl's voice to care about anything else. You realize you've been holding hands for a while. The subway car is empty, save for a stoic, middle-aged couple and a drunk staring intently at his own feet. Plenty of room to stretch out, and yet she sits right next to you. You can feel her thigh pressing into yours, her breath on the side of your neck. Maybe it's the booze talking, but you distinctly hear your voice asking if she'd like to crash at your place. "I've got a better idea," she says. At this point, you're down for anything, as long as it lets you spend just a few more minutes with her. She takes you to a sleazy motel in the Bronx, trading a few words with the balding, tired-looking guy at the front desk. He hands her a key. Still holding your hand, the woman leads you up the stairs. The room you end up in is almost comically stereotypical, complete with flaking paint and a sticky floor. Not that it matters, though. The moment you step through the door, she's on you. You try to take the lead, but she's having none of it. Before you know it, you feel the rickety bed pressing against your back. It's sloppy, fun, fierce, and not once does she lose the initiative. Your hands reach under her t-shirt. Strange. It didn't look like she was cold outside, but now her skin feels eerily cool. As if sensing your confusion, she slaps your hands off of her. She kisses your neck. You are overwhelmed by the sensation. Darkness. The taste of liquid fire and smoke on your tongue. Her voice saying, "Sorry, kid. I did what I had to do to leave the city in one piece. But don't worry. With my blood and your principles, you're gonna do just fine." She slams the motel room door behind her as she leaves. You lie helpless on the soiled, pungent mattress for some time. Minutes? Hours? Before you can focus enough to try and piece together your evening, it hits you. The big hunger. It grips you by the throat and makes your insides shrivel in terror. It's an all-encompassing emptiness that throws you on all fours. You crawl for a while, squirm on the floor in sundering pain, then jump to your feet and bust out the door. You black out. This isn't the room you saw when you last closed your eyes. Somebody curses at you. A small, naked, buff dude holding a short leather whip. Wow, what a goofy motherfucker. He throws a punch. He yells out several slurs. He hits you in the jaw. You black out again. The guy isn't moving anymore. There's blood on his neck. There's blood on his arms. There's blood on the floor. There's blood everywhere. Wow, whoever did this is one sick puppy. You realize you're sitting on top of his corpse. You hear a whimper. Someone else is there. A woman. Her arms are tied to the bed frame. An eye mask over her face. Red marks on her back. This time, you see it happen. You want to stop, but can't. She almost manages to get a scream out, but it dies in her throat as you bite into the side of her neck. You drink. Blood. You're drinking blood. You could swear you feel her life force escaping her body, entering yours. Suddenly terrified, you tear away from her. She's not moving, but she's breathing. There's barely a mark on her neck. The guy on the floor, though. You double over in a spasm, realizing what you did. feel like throwing up, but can only gag. Panic sets in as another realization dawns on you. Your heart is not beating. You put 2 fingers to your wrist, but feel no pulse. Same thing on the neck. Nothing. There's no breathing coming out of your mouth. You have to get out, get someone to call an ambulance. For yourself, at least. Probably too late for the dude on the floor. Did you really kill him? What a mess. You look up. The door to the room is ajar. A tall, handsome, broad-shouldered man fills the entire frame. He brushes an imaginary speck of dirt off his perfectly tailored suit. Call 911, out of the way. This is not what it looks like. Well, that one sounds pointless, so I don't think we're gonna do that one. I'll just say that. Hey man, you gotta help me. Call 911. So that you get arrested and reported as a jail suicide within the next 24 hours? Because that's the only way that plays out, son. He surveys the room, not moving an inch from where he's standing. He shakes his head in mock concern. Murder, assault, that's 25 to life if you're lucky. But since you're not, it's a death sentence. He takes a glance at his expensive-looking watch. Lucky for you, it's been a slow night. Otherwise, I might not have gotten here in time. Come on. The sun comes up in a few hours. You don't want to be around here when it does. Son, I need a doctor. Fuck you, I'm not going anywhere. Fuck you, I'm not going anywhere sounds appropriate for this guy. Fuck you, man. I'm not going anywhere with you. An angry scowl appears on his face. Language, whelp. The man approaches you and starts talking. His tone remains unnaturally calm. Oddly enough, you find it both soothing and slightly unnerving. Now listen to me. I know this is all new to you, but I've dealt with hundreds of strays like you, and going by experience, they tend to fall into 2 categories. First, there are the smart ones who carefully obey my every word and don't try to pull off anything stupid. I always get them where they need to be, safe and sound. And then there are the dumb ones. The punks who thought they could take me on. The wise guys who tried to contact somebody, secretly and without permission. The troublemakers who tried to run off or make a scene. None of them got to their destination in one piece. In fact, most of them never reach their destination at all. His voice becomes slightly bored and monotone. You can tell he's given this speech before, likely dozens of times. So you see, while I generally consider myself pretty smart, I'm also a Mets fan. It's my one true weakness. One that inspired me to come up with a 3-strike system when dealing with pups like you. If you get on my nerves once or twice, well, I understand. Not all of us perform well in stressful situations. But cross me 3 times, and you're out. No excuses, no forgiveness, no mercy. As he's talking, he slowly approaches you, adding a bit of theatrical swagger to his walk. Eventually, he leans in, deliberately invading your personal space. You realize it's a test. He's daring you to do something about it. 3 strikes, and you're out. Say, I understand, sir. Now. You've never been too eager to bend the knee to anyone, but this is something else. The man's very presence instills a primal fear in your heart. I understand, sir. Glad we have an understanding. Moving on. Is there anyone you'd want to inform of your current situation? Tell them you're alright. He flashes his fangs briefly, and for some reason, the sight sends a chill down your spine. There's something very wrong about him. Someone closest to you? Probably just tell him my ex-girlfriend. Jessica, my ex-girlfriend. She kinda hates my guts, but yeah, I suppose it would be her. The stranger gives you a puzzled look and decides to prod further. The closest person in your life hates your guts. This time, something resembling a look of pity. He turns his eyes to the corpse on the floor. When it rains, it pours, I suppose. Well, if you'd like to ruin her day and let her know you're alright, give me her phone number. I'll have someone take care of it, discreetly of course. You hand him your smartphone so he can copy the number from your list of contacts. Thank you. This will be useful in illustrating my next point. Instead of giving you back your phone, the man hides it in his pocket. From this point on, you are subject to different laws than the ones you grew up under, and you'll be watched by many eyes to ensure these laws are respected. You are forbidden from letting anyone know you're still alive. You are forbidden from showing your face anywhere they know you. If anyone comes looking for you, it's over for both you and them. He interprets his monotone recitation and stares deep into your eyes. So unless you want your girlfriend to end up at the bottom of the Hudson, I'd suggest you cooperate. He proudly displays his fangs again. You've put Jess in danger. God damn it. I can only hope that you care for her enough not to do anything selfish. His words are meant to imply otherwise, but by now, it's obvious. He hates your guts as much as you hate his. He's itching for a fight, and you're almost willing to oblige. Alright, I think that's enough lecturing for today. We're on a bit of a schedule here. Now, I don't need to hurt you, but I can do so in the blink of an eye. Just so that we're clear, I have the authority to end you right here, right now. This is not an idle threat. So, are you going to play along, or do we have to do it the hard way? Okay, it looks like we have someone watching. Here's how this is gonna work. What we do is we get options like this, because it's a choose-your-own-adventure narrative game. So, you can see what he's just said, and we have the option to punch him, follow him out, or call out for help. Oh hey, what up, Squib? How's it going? What do you think? You're just in time. We're watching a we're playing a new character tonight. Yeah, punching him probably is a bad idea. So what do you think? We either follow him or we call for help? Definitely thinking we should just follow him. Better safe than sorry. Actually, no. This is the third playable character. We actually finished Lamar's storyline last time. Now we're playing Eric, a completely different vampire. Though, if I'm being honest, this guy seems like the type of person who would punch him in the face. Seriously. And it's early enough in the story that I'm pretty sure we could get away with it. I don't know, I want to punch him, yeah, why not? We'll punch him. You throw a punch, hoping to stagger him and run out of the room. He can see it coming a mile away. His hand shoots up and grabs you by the wrist. Damn, he's strong. You really shouldn't have done that. Oh my god, I like these choices. So we ask him to let us go, say it was worth it, or tell him to leave us the fuck alone. Worth it, yep. It was worth a shot, asshole. A dog as stupid as you deserves to be put down. You feel the bones in your wrist crack under the man's iron grip. You yelp in pain, feeling your arm snap like it was being crushed in a vice. Ooh. I'm pretty sure he just broke our wrist. Oops. He's not human, he's not human, he's not human, he's not human, he's not human. You know what? I don't care anymore. I count that as strike 3. Uh-oh. For a split second, it all becomes a blur. Suddenly, you feel a sharp pain in your chest. You realize you can't move a muscle. The man throws you over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes and carries you out of the room. You can only see snippets zoning in and out. Oh yeah, that would have been my writing hand too. No one stops the man as he carries your helpless body out of the building and throws it in the back of a black car. You drift out of consciousness. Everything goes dark again. An endless void of nothingness. An endless void of nothingness. Uh-oh. An endless void of nothingness. Suddenly, a wet, squelch-like sound rings out in your ears. Oh, God. Then your chest explodes with an excruciating ache. Disembodied, you find yourself being slowly entrapped by horrifying dead flesh. I think so. Then resurrection. Oh, he's not dead. Shit! I know, right? I thought we killed him. I was like, wow, it is way too early for him to be dead. You suck air through your teeth as you wake, hoping this was all a nightmare. The gasp doesn't bring you any comfort, and you quickly realize it's nothing more than a residual instinct. You don't actually breathe in, nor out, and your heart is as still as it was before. Sight comes back to you as you focus on the features of an unfamiliar room. No windows, just a simple bed, a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling, a small humming fridge, and a rattling AC fan in the wall. You notice claw marks on the inner side of the entrance door. Rise and shine, fledgling. You've got places to be. You're startled by the sound of the stranger's voice. There he is, standing in the doorway expectantly. His suit is as immaculate as yesterday, but his presence strikes you as even more malevolent than before. You remember the last thing you felt while looking at his face, the bones in your hand being crushed to an oozing pulp. You look at your fingers, but they're almost fully mended with just a bit of bruising. Was your mind playing tricks on you? Yeah, he was out all night. Literally. Okay, we have another choice here. Screw you. What happened? Not going anywhere. Oh, absolutely. My guess is he probably staked him, which in the world of Vampire the Masquerade doesn't kill a kindred. It just immobilizes them for a while. But they can still see and hear things for the most part, I think. Not going anywhere. Oh yeah, totally. I'm not going anywhere. Yes, you are. The only question is if you'll get there conscious or not. The man glances at his watch and then turns his eyes to you again. You're expected. Get in the car. You have more questions? Where I'm taking you, you'll get the answers. Probably more than you're ready to handle. Nah, you're fine. Nah, you're fine. Okay, we have another one. I'm dead, right? You can let me go, or I want out. What do you think? Gotcha. Can you at least acknowledge I'm dead? It's a philosophical conundrum that I don't feel competent to solve. Medically speaking, you are deceased, and yet you're standing here talking, thinking, stalling. Oh, that's cool. Enough is enough. Are you getting inside the car, or are you really willing to risk a fourth strike in this match? Oh my god, we can rush him, get inside the car, or hijack the car. Oh shit. Wasn't trying to open the dictionary. Okay. We rush him, we get inside the car, or we hijack the car. I don't know that we can get away with hijacking the car. Oh yeah, but as far as Vampire the Masquerade, it's a very elaborate universe with a lot of to it. There's vampires, there's werewolves, there's wraiths. Yeah, get in. Absolutely, I do not think we can get away with any of that. So we'll get in. This better not be some bullshit. Quit your yapping and get in the car. As you sit down in the back, the door is locking behind you. You notice that your clothing is ripped around your sternum. You touch your chest. You realize there's a gaping hole there. You can feel your broken ribs and the flesh around them. Ugh. Alright, another one. How am I alive? I'm gonna be sick. What the fuck? I don't know. I feel like what the fuck is an appropriate reaction to having a hole blown in your chest. Oh yeah. World of Darkness is cool. I've only scratched the surface of it. What do you think we should say? Oh yeah, that seems like an appropriate response. What the fuck is this hole in my chest? A potent reminder that you should listen to your superiors. Anyway, don't worry about it. It'll mend, given the chance. A few minutes later, the sight of your open rib cage becomes just another part of a spectacle you feel almost wholly dissociated from. No breath, no heartbeat, and now a gaping wound with no blood coming out of it. It all makes sense in some perverse way. In a fugu-like state, you start touching it like it was somebody else's body. You drive in silence for a while. You keep trying to catch glimpses of familiar streets or landmarks through the blackened windows, but it's of little use. The car is also soundproofed, so all you can hear is a bit of humming traffic and the car's engine. The driver doesn't say anything and seems focused on the road. You check the door handle. Yeah, the door is locked all right. The piece of dark glass separating you and the front of the car looks sturdy, too. There is nothing left to do but wait. You didn't have time to think about it before, but you realize now that you're hungry? No, not exactly. It's not a rumbling stomach that grabs your attention. It's a need that starts somewhere in your abdomen and spreads to your chest, throat, and back of the head. After a while, the need transforms into an overwhelming wave of anger. You clench your fists and jaw. You kick the wall that divides you and the driver. You feel like screaming. Oh gosh. Okay. So we can start swearing, start yelling, or keep it in. Oh yeah. So what should we do? Swear, yell, or I'll hold it in. Oh yeah, let's have him start cussing. Fuck! Watch your profanity, fledgling. Keep your impotent rage in check or else I'll do it for you. Impotent? Just you watch, bastard. Kick the wall, break the window, or keep it in. This is getting really interesting. Keep it in. Your fists hurt. Your head hurts. Your bowels are burning with a dull flame. And yet, you don't break. A minute goes by, and the rage passes. The car continues on its way with no further comment from the driver. You feel exhausted. The anger that you erupted with is now just a smoldering fire, but your hunger remains. It takes you another 20 minutes or so to get to your destination. As the door opens, you try to get your bearings. You're still in New York, that much is certain. Queens, maybe. After me. No sudden movements, please. You approach a nice-looking building that houses a 2-story gallery called the Art Hole. 2 large men in suits flank the door on both sides, and they give your companion a nod as you approach. Prompted by the stranger guiding you, you walk inside. The gallery is full, which is unusual at this hour, to say the least. About 24 faces fill the showroom, and a number of waiters navigate the gathering, serving drinks. All of them are beneath the guests' attention. The visitors are well dressed for the most part, but it's unclear what they have gathered here for. Nobody seems to be particularly interested in the art pieces on the walls, and the atmosphere is polite, unnaturally so. Many guests turn to look at you and the stranger who brought you here. Their glances are varied. You see open contempt on a few faces and animated interest on others. Most of the eyes in the room calmly observe you, as if wishing to appraise your worth. The last time you felt like this was at your previous job interview. It was like being a piece of livestock, inspected from all sides for any imperfection, so your wage could be haggled down. It was dehumanizing and made you feel dirty. When they called you the next day to offer you the job, you declined. Even when you're a nobody, you become even less if you trade away your dignity for a paycheck. The memory makes you feel warmer inside even now, although the state of your bank account never did. Good evening, Kay dear, and to you, Childe. The noble, cold voice takes you out of your head and back to the situation at hand. The gallery, a crowd of strangers, you being brought here against your will. For what purpose? The room awaits your response. Good evening, miss. Excuse me, what? Not a chill day. Okay. Which do you think? Excuse me, yeah. Excuse me, what? The Prince of New York City, Helene Panhard, Childe of Michaela, is addressing you, whelp. My sheriff, this harshness is unnecessary. This fledgling has every right to be confused. She is somewhat plain-looking and doesn't seem to possess a great deal of charm, but still, the entire room is intently focused on her voice. She has influence over these people, that much is clear. You may address me as Prince Childe. I realize your introduction into on life was abrupt, and I understand your sire left shortly after. The rules of our society dictate I punish you both for this transgression. A murmur of agreement, maybe, can be heard from the gathered audience. But I am willing to listen to what our loyal sheriff has to say about the circumstances of your embrace first. Okay. Should we say I don't understand, stay silent, or ask punish me for what? Okay, that's a good one. Punish me? Are you serious? For what exactly? The sins of the father, so to speak. We have certain rules. One of them is that it is unlawful to create progeny without the prince's approval. My approval. Your sire never bothered to ask for it. You are about to be judged by the court of New York City. Kay, dear, please tell us how you found this fledgling and what happened on your way here. Court? Prince? Is this some kind of secret society make-believe? A trusted informant who has chosen to remain anonymous at this time tipped me off about a suspicious kindred appearing in one of our domains. Upon investigating, I found them gone, but this fledgling remained in their place. The hunger made him savage a prostitute and his client in a Bronx brothel belonging to one of the ministry. I have already spoken to... let me see if I can pronounce this name. I have already spoken to Sasservik about this and made sure it'll blow over. The fledgling proved to have quite the nerve and an unruly tongue. As could be expected, this young kindred's instincts got the better. As could be expected, this young kindred's instincts got the better of him, and I had to use force for him to comply, as evidenced by the damage to his garments. You can hear somebody chuckle. A few guests glance at the hole in your shirt. You realize the damage to your chest is almost gone, as if it mended on its own. That first lesson proved sufficient, and he did not oppose me tonight. His baser nature took over during the drive here, but I am relieved to note he managed to compose himself before I was forced to intervene. The story ends with us arriving at Elysium tonight. All eyes are on you again. You take a special interest in one of the faces. It's a beautiful woman, with curly, almost blood-red hair, and a dress to match. You see her whispering to some bespectacled man with an absent-minded look on his face. Who is she, you wonder? Thank you, Kay, dear. I take note of this fledgling's behavior and will take it into consideration later. She turns her attention to you. First, there is the matter of your sire, the person who brought you where Kadir picked you up from last night. Who were they? Sire, doesn't matter, a feisty woman. Yeah, just to clarify in case you didn't see that part, the person who sired Eric was a female vampire that he ran into at a nightclub. Feisty woman, yeah. A Latina woman, very radical until she convincingly lied to me. She was special, extraordinary. She had fire, conviction, temper. She seduced me, easily in fact, made me think she wanted me. I fell for it, and now I'm here. It feels awkward talking to a room full of strangers about what seemed like a random one-night stand at the time. Not to mention that even though the Latina made an impression on you for sure, her face is already fading from your mind. You realize she never even told you her name. Well, Kay, dear, does that sound familiar? No, it does not, or at least not familiar enough. I will continue the search after we're done here. Okay, now we can say, can I go now? What happens now? Or the receptionist she spoke to may know her, because they went to a hotel afterwards. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking too. That chick, she rented our room at the motel, talked to the receptionist. He might know something about her. Unlikely, but regardless, thank you for that observation. I will investigate this later. What shall we do with the fledgling, my prince? What is your recommendation, my sheriff? The traditions are clear. Thou shalt only sire another with the permission of thine elder. If thou createst another without thine elder's leave, both thou and thy progeny shall be slain. I am ready to fulfill my duty. Stay your hand for just a moment longer, Kay dear. I wish to consult my counsel on this. Make sure everyone is in agreement. Of course. He seems strangely relieved. The prince leaves the main showroom, and a handful of people follow her out. You're about to ask this Kay dear what all that talk of traditions and councils was when the red-haired woman approaches the two of you. Sophie. Sheriff, I was wondering if I could have a word with the fledgling. What for? She lowers her voice in response. Come now, Kay dear, we all know what the verdict is going to be. Let me speak to them. You might not have to stay in your hands tonight after all. Her words grab his attention. His face is hard to read. It's like several emotions are struggling for domination. Anger, sadness, hope, gratitude, resolve. I'll go get my sword. He steps out of the room the way you came, and you are left in the showroom with the woman in the red dress. She takes you aside, and the eyes of the remaining guests follow you. Well then, fledgling, you are in quite the pickle. Alright, do we say, what do you mean? What was that about a sword, or what is this circus? Yep, I like that. What the hell is with this party for rich sickos? Looks like something straight out of conspiracy theory. Everyone here knows a thing or two about conspiracies, but we don't have time to discuss those right now, so I'll stick to explaining what concerns you most directly. Last night you became a vampire. Wait, what? Oh yes, I'm well aware of how ridiculous that sounds. It's the reason why we have these nicer words for it. Kindred, being embraced, having a sire. The fact remains. The beings called vampires? You're looking at them. They're us. You glance around. Some of the guests are still occasionally looking at you, commenting on you in hushed tones. Many of the patrons are pale, really pale. Most hold glasses of wine. No, not wine. That's not the right thickness. And not the right color, either. You're trying to come up with something sensible to say, but you're drawing a blank. It makes a morbid kind of sense. You drank blood last night. There's no denying it. And your breathing has not returned. Your heart remains still. A vampire. Two voices in your head start battling for supremacy. One of them slowly begins to put everything that happened since yesterday together, coming to a conclusion that no matter how insane it might seem, nothing but what she's saying makes sense. The other voice just keeps saying, what the fuck, on repeat. You're surprised. This is often how it plays out by design. Kate, you're deliberately keeping you in the dark and all. If we do nothing, you will be cut down, as sure as day follows night. But I'm here to offer you a chance, a way out, under one condition. I will take you under my wing. If you're lucky, the prince will be in a good mood tonight, and Kadir's complaints about your behavior won't influence her judgment. This society values docility. She might agree to this, but only if you swear fealty to me. I am not making this offer lightly. As your patron, I will take responsibility for you. Your actions will reflect on me. If they reflect negatively, well, I will make sure you face the consequences. Alright, what happens if I agree? What if I refuse, or you'll make me your servant? Probably not. We'll just say number 2. What happens if I refuse? I believe I know what the prince will ordain, and I am certain Kadir will do his duty. You, my poor fledgling, will die, for good this time. With me, there's a chance you will not. I can be your guide in this new reality. Steps and hushed voices can be heard from the side room. It seems the prince and her council are returning to the showroom. Kadir appears from downstairs as well and starts walking toward you. When you hear the verdict, ask to be spared. I will intervene. Remember my condition. She flashes a heart-melting smile towards Kadir, who does not smile back. The sheriff's immaculate suit is now complemented by a curved, oriental-looking metal scabbard, fastened with a colorful sash around his waist. It would look vaguely ridiculous if it wasn't surprisingly intimidating first and foremost. Kadir takes his place next to you and observes as the prince takes center stage again. Loyal kindred of the New York City Camarilla gathered here tonight, I have made my decision regarding this fledgling. Their behavior since being embraced has been disagreeable, and that does not bode well for them becoming a valuable member of our society. You are all keenly aware that these nights we need to close our ranks and trust the wisdom of our elders and their traditions more than ever before. As our trusted sheriff pointed out, there can only be one course of action. Although I acknowledge some of my council's divergent opinions on this, she takes a look specifically at one of the people who left the room before, a somewhat plainly dressed, shy-looking man whose skin has a somewhat healthier tone. He bows his head in deference. I hold the final authority over this fledgling's fate, and I declare that while their embrace might be the sire's responsibility, in their absence it is their progeny that shall be punished. The sentence is final death, to be resolved presently. Kadir? You hear a scraping sound and see that the sheriff has unsheathed his curved sword. It is a beautifully detailed blade, which you expect must be worth a small fortune. Its apparent sharpness makes you freeze up. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. His quiet mumble is audible to nobody but you. As his eyes meet yours, you know that just a hint of sadness in his countenance, one that quickly vanishes to give way to a grim determination. And he's out to bat. You will not get another chance to speak up. Okay, do we ask for mercy and accept Sophie's help? Do we try and escape, or do we say nothing? I really don't think we have a chance of escaping, personally. Ask for mercy, yeah. You make your choice. I am not going down like this, damn it. Spare me. Yep. We got Mandy killed the first time when we chose to say nothing. was not a good idea.
Prince, if I may ask you to stay the sheriff's hand for a while longer.
Kadir looks at the prince, awaiting her response. The sword is still hanging above you, threatening to fall at a moment's notice. Is there something you'd like to say, Miss Langley?
Yes, if I may.
At first, the prince looks somewhat annoyed at the distraction, but she stays quiet for a while, measuring the mood in the room. The bored elites suddenly look at you with aroused interest, some of them dismayed at not seeing the bloodshed, but all intrigued by the unexpected twist. The prince nods. Well, let's hear it. Sophie takes a few steps forward. All eyes are on her now, but Kadir's heavy hand on your shoulder makes it clear you won't take advantage of the distraction.
My prince, while the traditions are clear, I believe that the proper context should be observed in addition to the letter of our laws. This fledgling is a burden, but with proper guidance they could become an asset to our domain. And I understand you are volunteering to take this unruly Childe under your protection. Yes, I am willing to give them a chance and prove to the entire domain that they can adhere to our expectations. I will take nothing less than their full cooperation, naturally. Whispers can be heard again, an incredulous voice or two, a hushed, just behead the fucker, some suppressed exclamations of surprise. Silence! I ask all of you to make a note of this moment. I might be persuaded to bend one tradition in this Childe's favor, but another will have to be enforced even more firmly in its stead. Yeah, I think Childe is I think it's an Italian word. The plural is childer. I know the plural is childer, I think. I'm not entirely sure if I'm saying the singular correctly. I haven't heard it said out loud before, so I'm not sure. It's like a camarilla or camarilla is also an Italian word from what I've come to understand. I just don't remember what it means. Until thy progeny shall be released, thou shalt command them in all things. Their sins are thine to endure. Are you certain that's a responsibility you wish to shoulder, Miss Langley? I am willing to guide this fledgling and add a valuable ally to our sect in a time of need, yes. But I would like to receive the right of destruction over them if it pleases you. Yeah, I didn't realize that at first either. Okay, so in response to this, do we remain silent? Give me a chance to prove myself, Prince? Or destruction? Oh, hell no. Yeah, Eric has a few response choices that the previous two did not have, which I think is kind of interesting. What do you think? Yeah, let's just shut up. It's clear tensions are high. It feels surreal to listen to strangers discussing your death, or second death apparently, and keeping silent. You decide it's for the best to let Sophie handle this alone and not interject. You have no idea how to handle this eyes wide shut crowd. The prince looks at you as if weighing your worth. She takes another good measure of the room before she speaks again. I shall grant what you ask. Let it be known. Sophie Langley of the Clan of the Rose will become this fledgling's patron. They shall be considered like sire and Childe. Miss Langley will take full responsibility for them, and I grant her the right of destruction if she sees fit to use it. Let my intentions be clear, however. If I am to turn a blind eye to one of our most important traditions on this occasion, I expect it to be beneficial to the Camarilla, substantially so. I hope you will find this verdict satisfactory, Miss Langley? Of course, Prince. Thank you. Very well. She turns to you. What is your name, Childe?
Oh, this last one's funny. So we can either give her the name, ask about a nickname, or say, "Oh, now you're asking my name." Yes, to which one? Oh, absolutely. Yep. Oh, now you're asking my name? Now that I'm no longer cattle to be slaughtered, Fledgling and Childe got old? Kadir visibly tenses up at this, and so does Sophie. The prince remains unfazed. Careful with that unruly tongue of yours. What I have given, I can just as easily take away. Her voice takes on a stern and threatening tone. I would like to hear your name now. Suddenly overcome by base terror, you blurt out your name. Eric. A mean smile appears on the prince's face. She nods. Welcome to the Camarilla, Eric. Now, this evening proved to be even more eventful than I anticipated, but with the fledgling's fate decided, I believe our meeting here can conclude. Thank you all for appearing on such short notice. Give my regards to those who couldn't make it. Kadir, a moment of your time before I let you return to your duties? Of course, Prince. He shoots you a side glance that doesn't leave much space for interpretation. You will be watched, you will be judged, and if need be, you will be punished. The two of them leave the gallery. I know, right? If it wasn't for my sheer pride, I would have withdrawn my offer there and then. What were you thinking, mouthing off like that? I need a drink. You probably do as well. She raises her hand at one of the well-dressed concierges who have now reappeared in the showroom to refill the guests' glasses. The conventionally handsome man approaches with a carafe of red liquid. He pours it into 2 tall glasses. You can barely wait until he hands you the drink. Your attention is fully on it. The fact that it's blood, you are certain of it, doesn't faze you this time. Oh, it's absolutely a Bloody Mary. While Sophie sips her drink, you realize this thirst, no, this hunger, can only be satiated by drinking the whole glass in almost a single gulp. As the liquid coats your throat, blissful relief takes hold. A posh woman passing by rolls her eyes at your lack of etiquette, but Sophie pays it no mind. Kadir has been starving you, hasn't he? Let's see if I can do something about that. She motions again. The man returns and gives you a refill. This time you find yourself having more control. You take a sip, savor it. It's smoky and warm, making you think of a cozy cabin in the woods. It does strike you as a strange image for your mind to jump to when drinking human blood, but it is what it is. You've never tasted anything like it. Do you like it? I think NYC caterers have very bougie ideas about what good blood should taste like. I mean, I guess it does make you think of a cabin in the woods. I don't know. Apologies, you must have so many questions. While we're on the topic, perhaps we should start with those related to sustenance. Alright, do we ask her about how much we have to drink, where we get it, or what if I refuse? Ethics and all that, yeah, probably. It's kind of weird that you have waiters serving blood. Where do you get it from?
That can be a bit of a touchy topic. Let's just say that most of the blood available at events like this is crowd-funded. Did I get that right? It's hard to keep track of modern language. At any rate, what I mean is that there is a plethora of vessels on tap. As for where to get the blood when you're not at Elysium, tomorrow I shall take you hunting and we will explore this topic further. What you need to know right now is that no matter how much you drink, you will always be tempted to have more, unless you consume someone wholly to the last drop. But even that doesn't last. Best start by just taking a single sip from a vessel. Be prudent. Hot, fresh blood is more satiating than most anything that can be served in a fancy glass, but it can make you more voracious. As to how much you should have, it depends. If you're frugal, you can survive many nights without a single drink, but it's risky, and it will tempt the beast that is part of our curse. Alright, now we can say, what do you mean by hunting? You mentioned a beast? Or so I'm expected to follow your lead now. Oh yeah. I've actually gotten to know quite a bit about the beast from watching LA by Night, which, anyone watching, I would highly recommend you look that up. They actually aired the final episode tonight on Twitch, but it's really cool. Really great live stream roleplay of Vampire the Masquerade. I highly recommend you check it out. But anyway, we're going to ask her about the beast. That beast you mentioned, is that a metaphor, or... Oh, it's quite real, although not in a strictly physical sense. It lives in all of us, our nature and hunger manifest. Those more religious among us connect it to the biblical Cain, the range of the first murderer, cursed by God, seething in all his descendants. Yep, LA by Night. Most of the streams for the Vampire the Masquerade tabletop that you'll find will usually have the city or town it takes place in, and then by night. LA by Night was actually being streamed on the official World of Darkness Twitch. But they also have a YouTube channel, so you can check that out on there as well. I, however, am a Childe of enlightenment. Not that it makes my struggle any easier. I have to be wary like every other kindred in this city and beyond. Individual kindred each have a unique relationship to their beast. What yours is going to be remains to be seen. But you do need to keep it under control. Each outburst endangers not just you, but also the Masquerade. The concierge returns, asks for permission to intrude, which Sophie gives with a polite smile, and leans in to whisper in her ear. You note that the gallery is now almost empty. I'm being told the gallery is just about to close, but we still have quite a lot to discuss. We'll go to one of my apartments. My jalopy is waiting downstairs. Come. The smile she puts on makes you remember the way you felt with the Latina. It's not arousing, though. More like magnetic. You find it hard to argue. Even though you're still suspicious of her authority over you, her charm momentarily wins you over. Sophie leads you to a luxurious silver Rolls-Royce and invites you to sit in the back. The chauffeur, a broad-shouldered, clean-shaven, middle-aged guy, starts driving immediately. Where did we leave off? I believe I started telling you a bit more about our customs. You've heard the prince refer to our traditions. The chief among them is the Masquerade. As you might have gathered from us assembling at a niche gallery after closing time, our comings, goings, and doings tend to be somewhat secretive. We do not advertise our existence. We allow myths and modern fiction to morph and muddle the facts, so the vast majority of
to the vast majority of kind, we remain bedtime stories and pop culture icons. Say, is that one television show about a vampire angel still popular? You shake your head in confusion. She shrugs and continues talking, a little bit more dejected than before. Our clandestine ways help us remain safe, allow us to explain away the occasional trip-up to the rational minds of 21st century humanity, and dictate much of our interactions with mortals. Now we can say in response, what is the risk? Is your driver a vampire too? So what's the flip side? She might be. They mention a lot of modern references and TV shows in this game. So it would not surprise me if they were talking about the Angel spinoff from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So what do you think? What should we say? Yeah, I'd say so. Let's find out. So if it's such a secret, then I'm guessing your driver is a vampire too? Oh dear, Gregory here? No, not a vampire, although he is a loyal servant, and as such trusted to not spill our secrets left and right. You will realize with time that such help is welcome. Gregory watches over me during the day hours. Sun burns our kind, that's why we take our rest when it rises. It's more akin to being dead than asleep, as I'm sure you've already experienced. But not everything you've heard about vampires is true. Some more folk-related threats are just legends, or, occasionally, a minor nuisance. Garlic, running water. Even religious symbols don't repel us unless the wielder is uniquely pure and godly. Stakes through the heart, though, that's something to avoid. They do not destroy, but they do paralyze us. You're familiar with the sensation, I'm sure. You see her point to the closed wound in your chest, though the tattered clothes where the stake entered are more of a reminder of your defiance at this point than any pain or discomfort is. For a second, you expect your heart to beat faster. Then you remember it's impossible. Well, that's just another reason to have somebody like trusty old Gregory making sure you're safe when you drift away. We have many enemies, and they often know their advantage lies with daylight. Do vampires watch each other's backs? So it's good to keep human friends? The Masquerade sounds like bullshit. Which one do you think we should choose? Well, I mean, it honestly wouldn't be, considering his clan. It's hard to say. I mean, yeah, this one would be a good question. But I'm also thinking that since he's a Bruja, he doesn't know that yet. But since he's one of the Bruja, and he was already a very rebellious and idealistic person when he was human, that doesn't sound like too bad an idea. Either one would probably work, honestly. But let's see what happens when he says this. Let me get this straight. It's forbidden to let humans know vampires exist, but it's okay to have human slaves who know for a fact who they serve? Sounds like a steaming pile of bullshit. There are degrees to this, of course.
Not many rules of our society are clear-cut. In some domains, the prince is very controlling and strict about keeping to the letter of the traditions. Luckily for you, Prince Panhard allows some leeway on occasion, or else we wouldn't be having this conversation. But to address your qualms, servants are fine, as long as they remain loyal. That said, our sect supplies social interactions aplenty, but doesn't really encourage counting on someone. Support given in exchange for favors. Yes, that's more like it. Long-term solidarity does occur in the Camarilla, but we are a very politicized organization by necessity. Loyalty is to your sire, to your prince, and to the sect. If a servant or mortal family member, or whoever else acts against the interest of any of these, their lives are forfeit, so they need to adhere to the Masquerade as much as we do. She seems to be lost in thought and falls silent for a while, leaving you to ponder all the things you've learned tonight. It still feels absolutely unreal, but as piece after piece of knowledge falls into place, the image becomes almost like an entirely logical jigsaw puzzle. Whatever you wouldn't believe on your own, you've witnessed. Many questions swarm your thoughts, but the one you keep returning to is what your place in this new reality should be. The car stops. You are in the city in front of an old but well-renovated apartment building. We're here. Would you like to see your lodgings? So we can say my own apartment? Neat. Is it another parking lot room? Or how long do you expect me to stay here? Option B. Sounds good to me. Is it another drab safe room in an underground parking lot? For my safety and all that? Don't be ridiculous. You're not a sireless fledgling in Cadir's stern grasp anymore. And even he wouldn't hold you there any longer than necessary, I think. Come upstairs. She leads you through a small hall with a night guard who greets Miss Langley with a good evening, and you take the stairs up to the second floor. Sophie opens the door to room 209. Inside are all the amenities you could expect from a modern apartment, and some you wouldn't have deemed necessary just the previous night, including thick blinds on the windows. The back room has a comfortable-looking bed and a thick steel door with several sturdy-looking locks, but no windows. Well, how do you like it? We can say, this is great, thank you. What, can I choose another? Or it feels too nice? A, B, or C? Oh, excuse me. Choked on my water a little bit. It's nice in this very agreeable way, you know. Lacks character. Well, I would appreciate it if you could hold back the need to redecorate. I am actually really fond of the decor here. Tomorrow I will take you hunting and discuss the blood in more detail. I'll let you get comfortable. The keys are by the television set. I will come pick you up tomorrow night. Use the back room for rest. You can lock the doors, just in case. It stings a bit when she leaves. It's like the room suddenly became a few shades dimmer. I know, right? I should totally make sure my water goes down the right pipe. You inspect the kitchen, hoping to find something to drink. Nothing. No regular food, either. Feels strange that Cadir could be a more thoughtful host than your new sire, even if only in that respect. You briefly wonder if the sheriff might have a hidden side. With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch,
With nothing left to do, you lie on the couch with the TV playing in the background for company. Columbo reruns. Kojak reruns. President of the United States got himself into serious trouble again. President of the United States got himself out of trouble again. Pundits start yelling over each other about things that seem a bit less insignificant just 2 days ago. You start drifting off, reflecting about another night of confusing conversation and worldview-shattering revelations. How many before you finally understand what happened to you and what you're supposed to do now? You keep coming back to the life you left behind, the people you should contact, the things you want to pick up from your apartment. You wonder when you'll have the chance for either. As you start to feel the same tiredness that made you drift into a cold sleep last night, you settle in the back room. The bed is comforting. The lack of windows less so. You leave the light bulb on. Looking at it, you realize it's the closest you'll ever come to staring at the sun on a breezy summer day again. A wave of melancholy overwhelms you. A few minutes later, your consciousness fades, and you take the plunge into darkness again, sinking, 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 sinking. Alright, and we are at about at the hour-and-a-half mark, so we are going to end it here for tonight, folks. Thank you for joining me for the beginning of Eric's story, and we will see what happens to him next time. Have a good one, everybody.